Howdy Cowboys fans, but today it's a tough one to gather around the campfire. The season that felt different, the season that sparked hope, the season that was supposed to break the curse, well, it ended in heartbreak. The Cowboys fell to the Green Bay Packers in a wild-card round that we'd all rather forget, with a final score of 48-32. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's call it like it is. This was a brutal loss, not just any loss. It marked the most points surrendered in a playoff game in the entire history of the Cowboys. And to add salt to the wound, it extended our NFC Championship game drought to a whopping 28 years. Yep, that's a whole lot of postseason pain. Even with an undefeated home record in the regular season and a 16-game winning streak at home, the Cowboys couldn't protect their turf when it mattered most. The Packers took control from the get-go, outplaying us in every aspect of the game: offense, defense, and even out-coaching. Jordan Love, in his first-ever playoff appearance, pulled off an Aaron Rodgers impression that we wish he hadn't. Slicing and dicing our defense for 272 passing yards, completing 76.2% of his attempts, and throwing 3 touchdowns with no interceptions, that's not a warm welcome to the playoffs. Romeo Dew, an unlikely hero, stole the show with 6 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. And when Love wasn't orchestrating the aerial attack, Aaron Jones decided to run amok, trampling the Cowboys' defense with 118 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. On our end, it was a tale of 2 halves for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. The first half was a struggle, with Prescott finishing with a passer rating of 47.2 and Lamb only grabbing 2 catches for 18 yards. They found a bit of rhythm in the second half, but the damage was done. Prescott, in his efforts to salvage something, finished with 403 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 costly interceptions. Lamb, along with Michael Gallup and Jake Ferguson, put up respectable numbers, but it was far from enough to dig us out of the hole we found ourselves in. The game started with a nightmare first quarter, and things went downhill from there. Penalties, interceptions, and defensive lapses, you name it, we had it. The Packers dominated, and by halftime, we were staring at a 27-7 deficit. The second half showed signs of life with a couple of touchdowns, but the Packers kept piling on the points. In the end, it was a mountain too high to climb. Now, we find ourselves at the crossroads of another disappointing offseason. The optimism that fueled us through the regular season has turned into frustration and questions. What went wrong? What could have been done differently? Let's use this space to share our thoughts, vent our frustrations, and look ahead. The Cowboys might have stumbled, but we ride through the highs and lows together. Cowboys Nation, but it's a tough day to be wearing the star, isn't it? The Cowboys season just came to a screeching halt, and it's hard to sugarcoat, that was one rough ride against the Green Bay Packers. In what might go down as one of the most cringeworthy games in Cowboys history, the boys in blue not only lost, but got downright trampled in a 48-32 playoff defeat. And let's be real, the scoreline might make it look closer than it really was. The defense, hyped up with Dan Quinn in charge, had a complete meltdown. How bad was it? Well, the Packers practically strolled into the end zone on every drive, averaging a whopping 8.7 yards per play. It felt like there was a welcome sign for them every time they approached the goal line. One of the low points had to be when Jordan Love lobbed a 38-yard touchdown pass to Luke Musgrave, who was enjoying a solo party in the end zone, no defenders in sight. That's not how you defend the home turf, Cowboys. But hey, the offense didn't escape the blame either. Brian Schottenheimer's crew seemed stuck in neutral until it was too little, too late. We're talking 27-0 down before they even got on the scoreboard. Dak Prescott, usually the maestro, tossed 2 interceptions in the first half, one leading to a Packers touchdown and the other a pick six. Ouch. Even special teams had a tough day at the office, penalties on punts, poor kickoff returns, and a missed extra point. It was a symphony of disaster, to put it mildly. Prescott did try to salvage something, completing 41 of 60 passes for 403 yards and 3 touchdowns, all to Jake Ferguson. CeeDee Lamb did his best with 9 receptions for 110 yards, and Tony Pollard chipped in with a rushing touchdown. On the flip side, Jordan Love had a field day in his playoff debut, racking up 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Packers' aerial attack was on point, with Romeo Doubs snagging 6 passes for 151 yards and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave and Dontavian Wicks joined the touchdown party, and Aaron Jones ran wild with 118 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And here we are again, facing another offseason with more questions than answers. It's tough, Cowboys Nation, but we ride together through thick and thin. Share your thoughts on this roller coaster of a game in the comments, and remember to subscribe for all the latest Cowboys updates. Cowboys Nation. Well, folks, it's time to face the music, and it's not the sweet melody we were hoping for. The Dallas Cowboys just suffered a jaw-dropping, nail-biting, and downright embarrassing playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers in Super Wild Card Weekend. I mean, we were the favorites, and, well, let's just say it didn't go as planned. The 48-32 upset has left us all scratching our heads, wondering what the heck happened at AT&T Stadium. Now, here's where the plot thickens. All eyes are laser-focused on the man himself, Jerry Jones, to see how he reacts to this playoff heartbreak. I mean, we're talking about Jerry, the man with the master plan, the cowboy hat-wearing maestro of the Dallas Cowboys. The burning question on everyone's mind: what's Jerry gonna do about this mess? And more importantly, what's gonna happen to our head coach, Mike McCarthy? Now, let's dive into the McCarthy situation. This guy's been at the helm for 4 seasons, and here's the kicker: 3 straight years of impressive 12-5 regular seasons, only to end up with early exits from the playoffs. That's a tough pill to swallow, my friends. The big question mark is hanging over McCarthy's head like a Texas-sized storm cloud. Is he the right man for the job, or are we stuck in playoff purgatory? But hold on to your hats, folks, 'cause there's a wild card in play. I'm talking about none other than Bill Belichick, the legendary head coach and the greatest in the league's history. The man parted ways with the Patriots last week, and now he's a free agent in the coaching market. And guess what? Dallas is looking like the perfect destination if they decide to part ways with McCarthy. Let's talk turkey. The Cowboys have a ready-made roster that's built for contention. We're talking elite talent, a force to be reckoned with. And you know what would sweeten the deal for Belichick? The fact that we're one of the blue blood franchises in the NFL. The Cowboys have that swagger, that history, that mystique. It's a match made in football heaven. And remember when Belichick's Patriots faced off against the Cowboys earlier this season? The man showered praises on the entire organization, from Jerry and Stephen Jones to the coaching staff. It was like a love letter to the Cowboys. So, here we are at a crossroads. Jerry Jones, the ball's in your court. Do you stick with McCarthy through thick and thin, hoping for a turnaround? Or do you go all in, roll the dice, and make Bill Belichick the next head honcho of the Dallas Cowboys? The suspense is killing us, Jerry. Cowboys Nation is holding its breath. What's the move, boss?